Welcome to QCC's Face the Region. Face the Region is produced by Quinsigamond Community College to assist our region in attaining educational, economic, and personal prosperity. Good morning and welcome once again to Face the Region here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN, and welcome also to you watching if you happen to be on one of the many cable access TV stations around the city of Worcester and central Massachusetts as well. I'm Zip Zipfel, your host, and today we're at the QCC Police Department here on the QCC campus on West Boylston Street, chatting with Deputy Chief Stephen D. Giovanni and Deputy Chief Ray Rodriguez to find out more about what the QCC Police Department does here on campus and the kind of security procedures they provide and services they provide too for the students and faculty here. Guys, welcome to the program.
Hi Zip, thank you very much for having us.
Good to have you here. You know, we were chatting off camera before we started the show. You mentioned that there's 5,000 students here, correct, here on campus?
Can be, yes.
And you guys are responsible for keeping it all secure.
We sure are. We're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, making sure that we maintain a safe environment for faculty, staff, and even for those guests that arrive here that come on to do business. So yeah, we have a pretty big responsibility as we look at it.
So it's 24/7 and even during the scaled back summer
Absolutely.
days as well?
And during holidays and you know, the big ones, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, we have a police officer here working at all times.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are here all the time.
We're like Denny's, we don't close.
Ray, Deputy Chief Rodriguez, you know, going back in my day, especially at some of the smaller schools when I was growing up, campus law enforcement was more campus security, more of a deal where there was just sort of somebody around and making sure the doors were locked. How have things changed over these couple of decades?
Well, back then it was like turn lights on, turn lights off, open doors, lock doors, real basic stuff that people needed out of the for convenience and safety, because we figured the idea of safety is helping you move along and get along. For like leaving you, if you got class, you got if you're a teacher, student, whatever, and your car doesn't open, your car doesn't start, little things like that. Those were services we actually gave back then too, as far as security goes. But the regular like patrolling the campus and the visibility, that was really what you gave in the past. And usually that was all you kind of could give. Yeah, and because we weren't carrying firearms or anything like that back then. So if you needed that level of protection, we even had a call for backup or a call for, even though we had the title police, we had a call for police. Now it's changed to where we have the abilities to, we are the police and we have the training and the ability to actually act upon and help people out when we need to.
Right, so in other words, from a law enforcement standpoint, the officers here on campus carry the same law enforcement judicial powers that any other police officer would.
Yes.
Do you sort of work in concert with say the Worcester PD and state police as well?
Absolutely. We certainly work in conjunction with multiple agencies. Worcester Police being one of them. The Massachusetts State Police we work with often, being a state entity. And then sometimes when it arises occasion, the federal law enforcement, and then our local partners at other colleges and universities here in the city, we work very well and close with them, and we kind of monitor what takes place on everyone's campus to see trends, and that's something we can help combat. And then we work with multiple agencies, not just the state police and Worcester Police, but even across the country when we have to do certain checks, we call all over the country. So yes, we work very well with other agencies.
Right, and in light of some of the terrible, tragic events, and we won't even bother to mention them, I would imagine that ups the ante as far as just focusing in on every aspect possible of security.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, with the way that the country has seen such horrible actions that you had said, Zip, in the last number of years, it has changed the dynamic of what we do and what we look at. We have, again, students and staff that come here, but we also have guests. The campus is an open campus. So anybody can walk onto this campus. They don't, there's no check-in where we kind of open our arms to the community. So we have to keep close eyes on the folks that come here, and we want to make sure that everyone can come here freely and leave freely, meaning that they're safe to come to work out, to walk on the track, or come to school here, most importantly, and then come to work, and that they get to go home at the end of their day and to be safe. And that's the responsibility we take.
Yeah, we want you to take it for granted. People go, it's safety, I don't see any problems. What are you guys talking about? That's what we want you to start thinking. You don't see the things that are like in the shadows, the behind the scenes, or all the prevention work we put in. Because security is part of police work. That's the crime prevention part. So all of you working together, we want you to come here and go, Quinsigamond, it's safe. What are you talking about? There's no problems there. That's exactly what we want people to feel.
Right. Well, the other thing, too, that you mentioned, that having at times up to 5,000 people on campus, geographically speaking, it's fairly concise, correct? I mean, in terms of some of the other bigger private schools.
It is. So we have the West Boylston Street campus, the main campus here, but we're also located at various areas throughout Worcester County. For example, we have 25 Federal Street downtown. The old T&G building has been converted into our Workforce Development Center, right, along with our nursing and healthcare folks. So we occupy that space. We have some space up at Burncoat High School where our automotive tech is. The Worcester Senior Center on Providence Street. And then we also have Southbridge campus at 5 Optical Way, and that holds a lot of folks down there as well. So we're kind of all over the map.
Right. And I noticed you mentioned Deputy Chief Rodriguez about the increased visibility. You've got quite a bit of hardware in terms of vehicles now. I noticed there's quite a few cruisers.
We do. We currently have a fleet of 7 cruisers that are out on a daily basis. And yeah, we go all around the campuses. We check in as much as possible. It's tough to kind of respond down to Southbridge sometimes, but in an emergency situation, we certainly get down there very quick with the lights and siren if we need to. And at most of these locations, we have a security company, a private security company that assists us with the procedures down there if we can't get an actual law enforcement officer. But yeah, we have 7 police cars, and we're out all the time.
And again, not to tip the hand of any security protocol, video plays a big part of it, doesn't that, cameras now, these days?
Absolutely. We have an extensive amount of video surveillance throughout the main campus and certainly at other locations. And we have a general feed that comes right into our police dispatch. And we have basically a big monitor wall. We get to view the cameras that we have in place, and we use those for the investigation portions. When crime does happen, our detective can look into it and look back at the recordings and hopefully solve a case as soon as possible.
So if somebody's on campus, there's probably an eyeball on them.
There's eyes in the sky. I mean, it really is. Just about everywhere you can possibly think of that you can put a camera, we're going to put a camera. Because especially for the investigating part, it's huge, but there's also that deterrent. So if you're thinking of robbing somebody and you see this big dome, that's not a good place to rob someone. And these cameras can go whoa distance. So if you know that place has cameras, stay away from there. It's not worth it. It's not worth stealing. We've solved crimes from when we didn't have cameras going back in the day. Sorry, just file it, put it away. That's the end of it. Now you watch some video footage. We got them. Sometimes all you get is a hand. You don't get everything, but most of the time you get lucky. You go, well, now, or even with vehicle accidents, we know how that car got hit. We know who did it. Let's try to ID that person, and then we solve crimes that way.
Great, great. We're chatting with Deputy Chief Stephen D. Giovanni and Deputy Chief Ray Rodriguez, part of the QCC Police Department here on campus at West Boylston Street. We'll find out more about the services they provide and some of the interesting technology that's employed as well here on QCC to keep everybody safe. When Face the Region continues in a couple of minutes right here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN. Stay with us. Welcome back to Face the Region here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN. Zip Zipville here along with Deputy Chief Stephen D. Giovanni and Deputy Chief Ray Rodriguez, members of the QCC Police Department here on campus. In the first segment, we kind of talked just in general about the force itself and some of the measures you take to keep the students and faculty secure. Let's talk a little bit about the technology. I see these blue lit call boxes, are they everywhere on campus, and how do they work?
Absolutely, Zip. So in our current main campus here, we have big red stanchions located in our parking lots, and they have a little blue light on top of them. And those are emergency call boxes that we have. You can walk right up to them and press the button, and it basically communicates right to our dispatcher. And you can let the dispatcher know if there's an emergency or what type of service you might be in need of, and we can communicate through that way. And in the evening hours, you can see the blue light on top flash. So it indicates to the patrol officers who are responding exactly where it's going off to, and that's the location of the potential emergency. And then within the buildings, we have emergency call boxes as well. They can be found on many of the levels of the buildings and right next to elevators. And they're clearly marked, they're a little bit smaller, and they're same technique, push the button and it goes directly to our dispatcher. You can speak to the dispatcher about what the needs and services that you need at that particular area. And when they come up on the dispatch screen, it tells you the exact location. So we know if you're unable to speak, maybe you're choking or something, we know exactly where you're calling from, and we can send the help to that particular area.
Sure, and how often are those used? Do you...
Quite often, actually, especially the ones in the parking lots. As the winter months come ahead of us, people's vehicles, sometimes the batteries die, they leave the lights on, or they're locked out of their vehicle. So they use them quite often on that side. And then within the buildings, when emergencies do happen, they are used on an often basis. Everyone has a cell phone nowadays, but sometimes it's just easier to hit that button and talk directly to our dispatch personnel.
And I also understand that you've recently received accreditation from the Mass Police Accreditation Commission, and also that you're the first community college to...
Oh yeah, that's right. First community college in Massachusetts to get... Well, actually, we got accredited by the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission, so we aren't just the first. There aren't any other community colleges outside of Mass that would get that. So
Wow.
there are several colleges that have gotten accredited, but there's a lot of police departments have gotten accredited. This program actually started back in the mid-'90s. Bill Weld signed off on it. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to set a standard for, or what do they call that, industry standards, to make sure that the police departments were reducing their liability. That's like the main reason why people do it, to reduce liability, but there's a lot of other things that come out of it. Things like being able to, well, right now, we're very proud of our department, that we're the pins. You'll say we're accredited. It means, we have our act together. We're doing all the things that we need to do that will make a person in the public feel comfortable coming to us for help. Like in the past, police, you realize, the police are there, they can help me. Well, accredited police, we really know they're going to help us. They're going to do everything they can with the toys and equipment and things like that, and our training. There's a lot that goes into it. There's about, as far as standards go, about 326 standards that have to be met. And it takes, you have a self-assessment phase. That can take years, that portion of it. But once you decide, okay, we want to get accredited, you make an application to the MPAC, the Mass Police Accreditation Commission, and say, we want to be accredited, we're ready. And they send a group of assessors, and these assessors go by these standards. Now, they're not people we know. They're basically, we're a stranger, but we're going to make sure you meet the same standards at Quinsigamond Community College as if Boston City Police or Springfield City Police, if they were accredited. Right now, those two agencies aren't, but if they were, that you would meet the same exact standards, that a board got together and said, if you meet all these, you're not going to get sued, your liability is going to be lower, and your insurance costs are going to be less also. So there's a lot of motivation in that.
Incentive, sure.
Our incentive was, I think, we looked at UMass, Amherst did it, and all the UMasses did it. So we're like, whoa, they're state agencies, they're not a municipal police department. If they can do it, why can't we? All the colleges, they can do it, why can't we? In fact, the state universities, police departments, they also applied for this. We've beaten them out now too. We were so motivated to get this done that I know someone says it's not a competition, but to me it is. So I look at it as, you know what, and obviously the other community colleges would be our competition as well, but we're beating them out, and we're setting our own standard. We're showing it can be done, because sometimes you get other departments saying, you know what, can't be done. In fact, I think there were a lot of doubters even on this campus. You know what, that sounds great, but you know what, that can't be done. We can't do it, our agency, you guys certainly can't. So when we actually got our accreditation on October 12th, 2017, I get excited about this.
Congratulations.
I got so much
That's a great achievement.
So, yeah, I'll move on because I can be here forever.
Yes, The fact that it's a state school, does that help you guys in terms of resources? You know, in other words, I would imagine sometimes towns have smaller budgets and they're, you know, squeezed to get things done.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we face the same constraints, budgetary constraints as some cities and towns, but we are able to get a little bit more resources at the state level. You know, our budget might be a little bit bigger than some other departments even on campus or even in the city at the college level. So we can do a little bit more, but our resources, we pull from the same resource pool as the city of Worcester does, or even the state police do. So we have some really good resources here that, you know, we're very, very proud of as well.
Great. Tell us a bit about the campus fire safety unit. Now, is that is that part of your organization, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, 10 years ago when I joined the force, I was kind of put into that role as a fire safety officer, and for the fear fact of we didn't have anybody assigned to it, and we had some deficiencies in the campus way back many years ago. So as I had grown up and as I gone up through the ranks, I kind of kept it with me as the title. So basically, the fire safety unit here is responsible to maintain all the fire safety and life safety equipment here. So your smoke detectors, your carbon monoxide detectors, the pull stations, the horns that go off that really drive everybody nuts in the building. So we maintain those, and when we have incidences, we have a private company that comes in and that will replace them. And we investigate all fire calls here. So it's not just you know, fire investigations. It's also you know, a lot of community outreach, fire safety classes that our community outreach officer does as well. And I still try to be a part of it as much as I can. But we just oversee all the life safety equipment here to make sure that it's up to 100% standards.
Deputy Chief Stephen D. Giovanni and Deputy Chief Ray Rodriguez. First of all, congratulations. That's a great achievement on the accreditation. You guys should be very proud.
Thank you.
Any final words, any thoughts for a student to talk about security, or should they feel free to give you guys a shout or lean on you? Or?
Absolutely. Like I said, we're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anybody can come into our station and be happy to meet us. We're more than happy to go over topics with them.
Any concerns
they may have, or even if you have a medical concern that you're worried about, and we can try to address that with them and give them the right resources.
Yeah, we're very accessible. Not just visible, but we're also very accessible. To the last person that works here, we're all accessible.
There you go. Thanks so much, guys. Coming up in the final segment, we'll be chatting with Officer Catherine Dixon and talk about some of the services that she specializes in and provides for the campus, for the students and faculty here on the QCC campus when Face the Region continues. Just a couple of minutes on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN. Welcome back once again to Face the Region here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN, the program where every week we find out about all the great things that are happening at Quinsigamond Community College from a standpoint of a student or the faculty or the services and curriculum they provide. And today, chatting with the folks in the Campus Police Department, I'd like to welcome Officer Catherine Dixon, who is the Community Outreach Officer for the Campus Police here.
Thanks
Welcome to the program. Good to see you. Tell me a bit about the outreach program and your duties and what you do.
So I'm the community outreach officer here. So that means that I get to do a lot of training and teaching. I get to run a lot of classes here on the campus on any of the sites, actually. I do travel to the other sites as well. I do a lot of faculty and staff training as well. So if they have any issues in their classrooms or concerns, they're able to contact me just directly, and then I can go and have a one-on-one with them and, you know, reassure them and tell them the policies and procedures and what we can do and can't do.
Right. And I would imagine the policies and procedures are, especially in today's world, are pretty exact and protocols that need to be followed.
Absolutely. We have quite a few policies and procedures, and we have the standards, the 349 standards that we have to meet here as an accredited police department.
Right. And again, congratulations on that accreditation. So give me a typical example of a typical training in a situation and that you might talk to one of the professors about, or classroom etiquette or
Absolutely.
safety measures?
So in all the classrooms, we have emergency guides. They're red books, actually, this one right here.
Yeah.
And so what I do is a lot of the first classes, the professors will call and say, can you come in and talk about the guides and emergency procedures? So I'll go in, I'll talk about our run, fight, hide program, which is our active shooter or a threat policy. And then I'll also talk about fire drills. If there's a fire drill, where do you go? What location, is your meeting point? Who is your emergency evacuation? Who do you listen to during them? Do you listen to the faculty and staff? Do you listen to the administration? Do you listen to the police? Who do you listen to during these fire drills or actual live calls? Some of the other things that I do is I go in, I talk about sexual assault, domestic violence. I talk about safety and risk reduction. So
Right.
a lot of the professors and faculty and staff will call me and ask me to come in and actually teach one of their classes as well.
Well, it's, and again, just in light of some of the recent news stories, I think a lot of people, almost like when you're on an aircraft and they go through, here are the exits and put your seatbelt on, you just never think it's going to happen to
Absolutely.
you. It's going to be your time. But as is evident, you never know.
Absolutely, you
And,
never know.
and in a panic situation, a crazy situation like that, having those drills and protocols are really critical.
Absolutely. The more you practice it, the more it's going to be routine for you so that okay, that's the door I have to go out. That's the staircase I need to use. I can't use the elevator. I have to meet at this location. So that's what we try to teach all of our students here at QCC.
And do you think, obviously, that people are way more aware of campus security than they used to be? And not that they weren't, but just... I would imagine it's much more top of mind.
I think that they're more aware of the security, but I think they're also more aware that police now, that colleges have police and not just security. So I think we've turned a page a few years back, and now they know that they're police officers and that they have full rights and jurisdictional duties, that they can have those powers, that they are more at ease knowing that they are safer at colleges.
And they reach out to you on a
Absolutely,
regular basis.
On a regular basis.
That's
Absolutely.
great. That's
Yes,
great.
Yeah.
October, which just wrapped up, it was Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Correct.
And again, that's some crazy stories in the news of late and ongoing. Same deal with the training. Do you offer classes and?
Yeah, so I did 3 special awareness days here at QCC on main campus, on our downtown 25 Federal Street site, and on our Southbridge site. So what we did is we went to those campuses, we did a little bit of lecture, we did some takeaway tables, we had the Victims' Rights Law Center come, we had Daybreak come, we had some safety safe plans, advocates from the courthouse there. And we were able to reach out to so many students and give them resources and talk to them, and they were able to talk to different people one-on-one if they had issues or concerns or just personal situations that they needed to talk to someone. So they had the legal aspect, they had the advocate aspect, and they also had the counselor side. So we had our school counselor there as well.
As far as domestic violence, how do you approach, for instance, it's typically sort of a hidden, unspoken problem going on, not so much now, it's a little more to the forefront. Is there a way that you can kind of reach out, or what are the warning signs, and if you're a friend of somebody that you think that's having trouble, what's the best way to go about getting them some help?
Absolutely. So a lot of people don't know that 1 in 3 women in Massachusetts have affected by domestic violence or domestic abuse, and 1 in 5 men. So most people don't realize that, but domestic violence, it's not just about women. It doesn't have any discrimination. It could be your sexual preference, it could be your race, your age, your gender. There's no discrimination against it. So what we try to do is we really try to put across our safe plans. So if, say for instance, you have a family member that has domestic violence, you have a safe word with them. So the sky is green, and that's your trigger to, okay, I have to get our safe plan in plan working, so that way we can say, okay, here's your financial aspects, here is your medical aspects, here is all your vehicle, here's your credit card information, here's your banking information. So that way they can run out the door, or they can get to a safe location, a safe spot, and they don't have to worry because it's there with you. So that way you have resources and tools on site without them having to go back to wherever their perpetrator is.
Sure. And again, is there sort of an, I don't want to say an anonymous way of contacting you, but is there sort of a...
Yeah, absolutely. So they can come to the station, they can call the station, they can email me. Our counselor on campus, they can always go through the counselor on campus, and we work very well hand in hand with our counselor, Tina Wells. So she'll also call us down, and whatever officers on duty, we're all trained in it. They can call and we'll come down and meet with them in a certain location, a safe location, or they can come here. So a lot of people won't like to come to the police station to file these reports, so we'll absolutely go to them in their safe location.
And again, what would you say to somebody on the periphery, a friend or somebody who knows something's going on and doesn't want to,
So don't just sit there and watch it happen. See something, say something. That's one of our mottos here. So if you see that your friend is being domestically abused or has some domestic violence going on, tell them, let them know that you're concerned for them, you're concerned for their safety. Is there children involved? You're concerned for those children's safety. Let them know that you're there to listen and validate them. Let them know that you are ready to help them with whatever they need when they need it. So that way they feel that there is an out, that there is someone that cares, that there is someone that is there for them. So.
Great.
Yeah.
Any special events, any get-togethers coming up that you want to talk about?
Absolutely. We have our Stuffer Cruiser coming. So.
Oh, the toys.
So what we do is we do a lot of donations of new unwrapped toys, gift cards, movie tickets, and monetary donations that we run hand in hand with our Feed a Family program. So our Feed a Family program is we give food and monetary donations to our students and faculty and staff members who can't afford a holiday meal. And then our Stuffer Cruiser portion, also any families and students and faculty and staff or community that can't afford to give their children gifts, they're able to come in on certain times and get gifts for their family. And
Great.
then any leftovers go to Toys for Tots.
Cool. Officer Dixon, I can't tell you what a pleasure it is, to meet you.
Thank
Congratulations on the accreditation.
Thank
and
you.
Thanks so much for the great work you do.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it does not go unnoticed by the staff and faculty here and as well as the students. Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for being with us. That'll do it for this edition of Face the Region here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN. Join us again same time next week, and we'll see you then. Have a great week.
This has been Quinsigamond Community College's Face the Region. Join us again next weekend on AM 830 WCRN.